guard from the New Living Translation. The King James Version says, watch. Be on guard. Stand firm in the faith. Difference, Dalton. Stand firm in the faith. And then it says, be courageous. Be strong. Do everything in love. Just for a little while, I want to share this message. And I hope and pray that it touches all of us to help us to see and understand that if my life is going to get better, if it's going to change, if I'm going to be able to cope with life when it keeps on life, and I have to do something. I can't just sit back. God, send me a job and don't put an application out. God, help my health and do nothing personally to help my health. God, help me to grow. Give me a church that I can feel good and grow in, and I'm doing nothing to help Frank. What is my responsibility when life keeps on lifing with me? You. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle life? First thing I want to say on this thought. Life is filled with choices, which always carries consequences. Listen, I try to instill this to me, because life is real. We all have to deal with choices. But I don't like sometimes the consequences of the choices that I've made, but we have to live with them. So my message is, be responsible for those choices that you make. Number two, own your action. See, we live in a world where sometimes, most often, we want to blame somebody else. This is why I behave the way I behave, because of my parents, because of my spouse, because of my siblings, because of life, because of the politics in the world around me. Listen, sometimes you've got to learn how to own your actions and hold yourself accountable. What are you doing to change your scenario? What are you doing to change the circumstances of your life? I want to get better. God, I want to overcome all of this drama and stuff in my life. But what are you doing? Hold yourself accountable. Number three, your personal growth and salvation outside of the grace of God belongs to you. When you stand before God and the books are open, Paul told the church of Corinth, we will all be judged according to what we have done. Nobody else. It's about what you are doing with your life. So when you stand before God, it's going to be about, what have you done for me lately? What have you done in this life to make a difference in your life? Number four, I got to ask this. I ask my children, my grandchildren this. What are your coping mechanisms? What have you developed to help you with life? What have you personally decided? This is what I'm going to use to help me cope with life. When life keep on lifing, who do you turn to? What do you do? Do you turn to drugs? Do you turn to alcohol? Do you turn to another relationship? Do you turn to your friends? What do you do? What do you use to help you cope with life? What have you developed for you that's going to make your world different? Who do you talk to? Facebook? What do you do to help you cope with life? When you lose your mama, when you lose your daddy, when you lose your best friend, when you lose your child, who do you turn to? What do you use to help you cope with life when your world is turning upside down? Number 5, I want you to know, Michael Jackson said it, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And you got to know this morning, for your life to be different, for you to be able to cope with life, it starts with the man or the woman in the mirror. What am I saying? It starts with you. What am I doing? Church. In verse 13, the first thing he says, and I want to say that is your and my personal responsibility, is to always be on guard. You're going to fight. If you don't keep your guards up, you're going to get hit. And if you're not careful, you're going to get knocked out. So Paul is saying to the church at Corinth, and I want to say to you, my brothers and sisters, as I speak to Frank, my personal responsibility is that I personally be on guard. And this is the message that Paul is saying to the church, and I believe it speaks volumes to us. I have got to keep my guards up. Now let me briefly share just two things about keeping your guard up. There are some negative influences in the world that we have to deal with. Oh, yeah. And all of us have to deal with them. And one of those negative influences is the devil. Is he only just in my life? Does he get on your street? Does he stop at your address? Paul, has he stopped by your house lately? No. I don't know about you, but every time I look around, he's all up in my business. The devil, yes, he's busy. Jesus said it like